Hello, friends. Good evening. Hello, everyone. Let's just check here. Our connection. Everything seems fine. Let's just wait for a few seconds for people to come, Professor. Let's just check if our Facebook is working. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, we are live. Hello, Professor Watanabe. How are you tonight? Or how are you today back in Brazil?
Yeah, fine, Vanderlei. Thank you.
Good.
Glad to be
Good,
here
good.
again with you.
Nice to have you here tonight with us.
Uh,
We're just gonna be waiting for a few seconds here, and then we're gonna do the initial prayer.
okay.
Let's see. Hello, dear friends from Brazil and Ireland and UK. People, they are coming. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so how about I think we all know here Professor Watanabe. He was here before. He's the president of FESP, the Paulista. I always mix up the name. You see here.
The State of
Yeah.
São Paulo Spiritist Federation.
Thank you very much, Professor. Very kind. So he's gonna be talking here with us tonight, guys, about the Medium's book. He's gonna be talking about By-Corporeality and Transfiguration, and how it is the laboratory of the invisible worlds. So it's going to be a nice speech explaining a little bit more about the Medium's book and about such a difficult, but at the same time, very enlightening topic. Okay. Hello, Leah. Good evening. Hello, guys. So, Professor, I'm going to do the initial prayer,
Okay.
and then we can start. Is that okay for you?
Yeah, okay.
Great. Okay, so let's close our eyes. Take a deep breath. Let's thank the good spirits for the support given here tonight, for the support for the Irish Spiritist Federation for almost 11 years in Ireland. Let's ask the guidance of the mentors of the group, from the good spirits, the superior minds who are supporting us. We hope that this speech tonight will be fruitful and enlightening to everyone here. May the good spirits inspire Professor Watanabe. Thank you very much, dear God, and so be it. Okay, Professor, so I'm going to be here in the background. I'm going to remove myself. If you need anything, just say I'm going to be here, and you can start. I'm going to be adding here your presentation.
Okay.
Nice to have you all guys here, and let's start. Okay, guys, see you in a bit. Thanks, Professor.
Okay, thank you, Vanderlei. Hello, everybody. Once again, I'm very glad to be here today. And this time we are going to, proceeding with the Medium's book. And we are going to see, let's say, the last complex issue related to the spiritist phenomena, which is the issue of the by-corporeality and transfiguration. And also we have another topic here, which is the laboratory of the invisible world. We are going to see these two topics today, right? So we are going to start by talking about by-corporeality, or the apparitions of the spirits of the living. We have seen in the last month about the visual manifestations of the spirits of the deceased people, right? So we have not only the apparition of this discarnate spirit, but we can also have apparition of a living spirit, so like ourselves, right? This is the issue that we are going to see today. This by-corporeality and the transfiguration, Kardec says that are two varieties of the visual manifestations because they are situations where we see spirits, right? So in this case, living spirits. Just to remember, we know that when we are going to sleep, during sleep, we are spirit together with our perispirit, which here Kardec mentioned as semi-material envelope, which is the perispirit. So we as a spirit, with our perispirit, we can, let's say, disengage from our physical body, which remain there, laying on the bed, sleeping, and then we detach from this physical body and go everywhere, to another places. And there on the other places we can appear to the other people. So that's what is being we are going to see here today, right? So this we ourselves with our perispirit, we can acquire visibility and even tangibility. uh, we have some examples which Kardec brings to us in this chapter on the medium's book. He tells us about a case of a wife of a friend of him that one night she saw a woman entering in her bedroom, and she knew this woman. This woman used to sell fruit in the neighborhood. So she was not acquainted with her, right? So she was not her friend, but she knew her. This woman appeared in their bedroom. That's very interesting because she knew that the woman was perfectly alive. And of course, in this case, was at night. The woman certainly was sleeping at that moment. So this is situation. The woman who sold fruit in the neighborhood, sold fruit in the neighborhood. She was sleeping, and then her spirit with her perispirit and separated from her physical body and come to this the wife of a Kardec's friend, right? So, and that's why, and there she acquired the visibility, so that the wife could see her, right? So that is the situation. But the apparition suddenly disappeared. The wife did not know how, right? So because it's just temporary phenomena. So this is a situation that Kardec mentioned in the Medium's book. And then there is another example from this same woman, the wife of his friend, and in another situation, she saw her brother. So she lived in Paris, right? And her brother was living in California. And he also appeared to her, and the appearance was so real that she thought he had returned from California to France, right? And tried to speak he wanted to speak to her, but as in the other case, he disappeared without giving any opportunity to have a conversation. And later, some days later, she received a letter from him. So that proves that he was alive, right? He had not died. So these are situations where we have the manifestation of the apparition of a living person. Okay, so there are a third example here from Kardec, and where he said that another lady who resided in the countryside, she was very seriously ill. She was sick, right? And then one night about 10 p.m., she saw an older gentleman, a gentleman that he saw in some social function. So also was not her friend, right? So a close friend. And so this man appeared in her bedroom also. She was sick. She was probably was not feeling that much good. And then this man appeared, and he was sitting in an armchair next to her to her bed, and he had in his hand a snuff box, and once now well once in sometimes he would take a pinch of a snuff from the snuff box, and she was looking to all this, right? So she tried to talk to him, ask, wow, why are we here? Why are you doing here, right? And he seemed to be watching her over her, right? Taking care of her because she was sick. But then when she tried to talk to him, he made a sign asking her to sleep, right? And then after some some time she got sleep. And then what is interesting that a few days later she was much better in his health, and then she received a visit from the man, right, at a convenient hour, of course, during the day. And what is interesting that he was dressed in the same way he was when he appeared to her that night before, right, with the same snuff box. And then she thanked him for the kindness of him, right, of being of having visited her at that night. But then what he said well, it's a long time since I don't see you. So he was not aware that he was there on her bedroom at the previous night, right? So he was quite surprised. What is the point here is that in this case, the man probably was also sleeping in his bedroom in his home, and then his spirit with his perispirit came to the woman's house, and but then as he is in a kind of a emancipated situation, when he visited the woman, and then after some times he went back to his home, and going back to his physical body, right? Then when he wake up, he don't remember what he did in that emancipated situation. So that's why he didn't remember anything about the visit he had done for the woman, right? So this is interesting situation here. We are going to see after, when we talk about the laboratory of the invisible world, the situation of this snuff box, this object that he was carrying in his hand. Well, how could he do that, right? So we are going to study here this. So this is a third example that Kardec gives us regarding the apparitions of spirits of the living person. This is a figure of this snuff box. And then we have another situation here, which is called the phenomenon of a by-corporeality, where we have the spirit doubles. Again, this is a living spirit, right? So why, how we have this situation? Is this situation happens when individuals they have a simultaneous presence in two different places at the same time, right? So I mean, in the case, for example, of the man who visited the woman, he of course was sleeping in her bedroom in his home, but nobody was seeing him there, right? And then he came to the woman's house, and then the woman saw him, I mean the spirit with the perispirit, which in some way become visible to her. But by corporeality is a similar situation, but in this case people are seeing the physical bodies in some place, and see the spirit with the perispirit in another place at the same time. So this That's why it's called by-corporeality, right? So the person has two bodies. One which is real, which is the physical body, while the other is an appearance, which is the perispirit, right? So the physical body has the organic life, and the perispirit, the spirit with the perispirit, has have the anemic life. So Kardec says so. And when the person awakes, the two bodies reunite, and the anemic life re-enters the physical body. So that means you can imagine that when the person is disconnected from his physical body and is going somewhere, the physical body, the intelligence is not in the physical body. So the physical body remains there only with the organic life, right? All the intelligent, all the intelligent manifestation is with the spirit, which is in another place, right? So then we have here also an example that Kardec give us, which is the case of Saint Anthony of Padua. Padua is a city in Italy, as you know, right? And Saint Anthony, he was from Padua. He had born in Padua, but he was preaching in Spain, making a preaching in the church, right? So while he was giving his preaching in Spain, his father in Padua, Italy, was being accused of murder. And well, he was being accused of murder, and he was going to be close to be sentenced to death, right? So in this situation, Saint Anthony appeared there at that moment, there in Spain, and he proved his father innocence and said, well, this made known the identity of the true criminal. And then after doing that, he went back to Spain, right, where he was preaching to some people there in the church. So what Kardec says here, as I already mentioned, when separated, the two bodies cannot simultaneously enjoy the same degree of active and intelligent life. So it means that you can imagine, for example, Saint Anthony there in Spain, let's say in Madrid, for example. Huh? He was there in the church giving a lecture to some people there who was listening to him. And then in some moment he enters in a kind of a trance, right? So he stopped talking. He stopped talking. He looks like someone who is a kind of a trance, and then remain in that state. And then at that moment, the spirit with the perispirit went to Padua in Italy, right? So there he appeared. He made himself tangible because people could see him, could hear him, and then they do what he did, right? To prove that his father was innocent and, well, revealed who was the true criminal. And then, and all this time, Henry was there in Padua. Of course, his physical body there on the church was in that kind of a trance. He was not talking, right? Because the intelligent being was not there. So you can imagine people there who was listening suddenly see that man who entered in a kind of a trance and just wait from some minutes, right? But then after he does what he did there in Italy, he went back to Spain, and then you can imagine that in that church people can see that, well, now he returned again to his conscience, right? He go out from the trance, and then he following doing the preaching in the church. So that's a situation that we can imagine, right? Because as Kardec is saying here, the two bodies cannot simultaneously enjoy the same degree of intelligent life, or either is on the physical body when the spirit is connected to the physical body, or if the spirit with the perispirit is detached and goes somewhere, wherever the spirit goes with his perispirit, the spirit is an intelligent being, right? So the body remains in a kind of a either sleeping, like the case of the man that I mentioned before, or in this case, enter in a kind of a trance, right? So this is an example of the spirit doubles, which is very much interesting, right? And another situation is transfiguration. So to transfigure is to change our appearance, right? Mainly our face appearance, or even our body appearance. So our body takes another form, a different form. So we have an example here from Kardec, right? So he says that a young lady of about 15 years old, she possessed this faculty of transfiguring herself, right? And to transfigure in this case means that she took the appearance of some deceased individual, some discarnated spirit, right? And in this case, she often took the appearance, Kardec says, of her brother. And her brother had died a few years ago. And in this case, when she transfigured the appearance of to the appearance of her brother, she reproduced the facial features of her brother, and even the body. So her brother, of course, was much bigger than her, right? So, and her body, in some way, took this appearance of his brother's body. So, that's why Kardec said that during Transfiguration, the weight of the girls nearly doubled. So, this is a very interesting situation, right? So, and then this is the Transfiguration. In this case, the girl took the appearance of her brother who was deceased, right? But there are situations where the medium, of course, the young lady was a medium, and there are situations where a medium can transfigure himself into the appearance of another living person, could be, right? So it, it, it would not be something impossible, but we have no example for that, but something that we can imagine. Okay, so this is the transfiguration, and then explaining the phenomena, Kardec says that the spirit can give its perispirit any appearance it chooses and can render it visible and tangible. So the spirit in this case is the discarnate spirit, right? The discarnate spirit can, here Kardec is talking about the visual manifestation. Right? You imagine, for example, as a discarnate spirit which come in appear to us, right, with his perispirit, and render it visible to us. But the same way that a discarnate spirit can do that, a living individual can also undergo the same transformation, Kardec says. And how a living person, in this case, a medium, which is the case of the young lady, how can the medium do that, right? So then Kardec explained here, right? Imagining that a living person with his physical body, we know by studying the spiritist doctrine that we have our perispirit connected to our physical body, but our perispirit is not limited to our physical body. The perispirit, it expands beyond our physical body, which is a form, a kind of aura, right? Around the physical body. So Kardec says, imagine the perispirit of a living person which radiates all around the body. And then it is transparent, right? Because if I see a living person, I cannot see his perispirit. I just see the physical body. But imagine that this perispirit, which is radiating all around the body of the person, it loses its transparency. If the perispirit losing its transparency, then we could not see the physical body. It would be like a fog, Kardec says here, right? So it's like the person would become invisible in some way. So then if another spirit, in this case discarnate spirit, combine its own fluid of discarnate spirit with those of the medium, then it could substitute itself for the person's appearance. And this is what all about transfiguration, right? So in this case, for a young lady, so the young lady had her perispirit who radiated around her physical body, and then her deceased brother get close to her, combine his own fluid with her fluid, and then it took the appearance. She took the appearance of her brother, right? So this is the situation here. It's a very complex situation, right? Like I mentioned in other lives when we talk about physical manifestations. Well, we can understand this, but we have no idea of how it's done, right? So it's just to understand the logic of how it happens, right? So this is the transfiguration. And then we have here also an interesting phenomena of the uh, agenir. Well, this is a French word, right? So agenir means not engendered. It means this current spirit that appears to us, and it's so it's so real that we cannot perceive, and we cannot realize that he is not a living person, right? So this is the situation here. So that's why it's called engineer, so not engendered, because it's someone who appeared to us who was not engendered. He did not have a birth, right? At least in the situation of being a discarnate person. So is a variety of very tangible operation, Kardec says, right? So this current spirit appears to us and is so real that produces a perfect illusion. We think that it's a living person, but it's not, right? So then Kardec has an example here. It's not on the Medium's book. It's on the Spiritist magazine, right? So he talks about a poor woman who was in the church. She was going through a very bad situation regarding the material situation, and she was begging for God's help to alleviate her sufferings. So probably he had not any food, right, to eat, and she needed a work. She needed a job to earn money and to buy the things that she needed, right? So he was there in the church, praying to God, asking for help. And then she ill, right? Very sick. And then just to remember, he was sitting in the armchair next to her bed. He was close, right? And he was of course, all these have only a temporary existence, right? So suddenly it disappears because it's not something that is solid matter, right? So it's just a fluidic matter. And the tangible, like the case of the snoof box, can remain, right, for forever. It has just a temporary existence. But something that is, right, psychography, where the medium's taking a pen or pencil in his hand, and the spirit, a discarnate spirit, or could be even a living spirit, command his hand and write a message, right, on the paper. In the case for direct writing, we don't have the medium acting toward would be good for you if you have some physical problem, right? So in this case, Kardec says the acting agent is the magnetizer's spirit. Magnetizer is the someone else, right? To whom we give this water. So what we did here by our will, we caused a transmutation of the water by means of our magnetic fluid. Because, like I said, we have our perispirit, which is this fluidic body, and about the developing mediums, about the moral aspect of the medium. Then after that, we are going to talk about the obsession, and then we are going to see about the evocation of the spirits, right? The language, the
Believe. Yeah, I'd say yeah. That's the case, I guess, with mediumship.
yeah, yeah. Today you can you say and read, for example, the Spiritist book, and then you can understand that everything is there, right?
Yeah,
Everything that is important to understand for our life is there. You don't need
yeah,
to see manifestation, it's a
yeah. That's
phenomenon.
why for us is the most important book. Not the most like I'd say the gospel and the spiritist book because the gospel deals with the moral aspects
Yeah,
and the spiritist book. All the work of Kardec are dealing with different issues, but the spiritist book is the core, and the gospel for our moral.
yeah.
I think yeah,
The Spiritist
yeah.
book is the philosophical aspect.
The aspect, yeah,
The Medium's book that we are studying now, and also the Genesis from Kardec, are the scientific aspect, and Gospel according to Spiritism, and Heaven and Hell
in hell.
are the moral or religious aspects. No?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Professor. I'd say people they are quiet tonight. Would you like to say anything else before we go to the final prayer? Would like to make any other statement?
No, I'd just like to thank you again for this opportunity to be here talking about the Medium's book. We have went through more than half of the book, and I think we will end by October. And then what I commented to Stefan is that we can study the next book we can study is the Genesis, which is very interesting.
Wow.
So
Oh yeah.
both of them are the scientific. We are going to see the scientific side of
Of
the
spiritism. Yeah.
spiritism.
Great.
Okay.
Great, Professor. Okay, brother. Before you do the final prayer, I'm just gonna make some internal announcements here.
Mm, okay.
So for those who wants to participate in the Spiritist book study, you guys can send an email to us at spiritismisland@gmail.com. Our studies every Wednesday at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. I think. Yep, 8 p.m. So and you guys can participate. So once you guys send the email, someone else will send to you the link to do the studies, which is done via Zoom. Also, guys, uh, in the next, I'd say now in around half eight tonight, we're gonna have our virtual healing. So it's gonna be here on our YouTube channel. So please, if you guys want to participate, just stay on our YouTube channel, which is Spirit Society of Ireland. At 8:30, we're gonna have our virtual healing. And yep, also, guys, yep, we're going to start having the presidential meetings in September, but we're going to confirm properly the date and the locations. But we're still going to be having our lives here every Tuesday, every Thursday, and every Sunday. Tuesday, Thursday, quarter past seven, and Sunday, quarter past 11. I'd say that's it. Please, Professor, whenever you want to do, if you can, do the final prayer to us. We would appreciate it. And thanks very much for your presence here. Thanks for the enlightening speech tonight. It's a pleasure to us. And see you next time for sure.
Okay. Thank you. So let's do our final prayer. So let's thank all the spiritual benefactors by the helping through this lecture today. Um, hope that everybody had some understanding about this mediumship phenomena. And we are going to thank you also, Jesus, for this opportunity of being here, reunited in His name. And finally, to our Heavenly Father for all this opportunity of this reincarnation. So be it.
Okay, okay, guys. Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you very much, everyone. Good night, everyone. We're just gonna close here. Thanks, Leah. It's very nice to have you here. And you guys, take care, guys. Bye bye.
Bye bye.